Good morning, boys and girls. Today for reading, we're going to again be talking about main idea and details. But today, when we find the main idea, it's going to be something called an unstated main idea. So that means that the main idea isn't found in the paragraph. We have to make a prediction or an inference of what the main idea is based on what the paragraph is about. Okay? So today we're going to read a story called Land Beneath the Waves. When you fly over land, you see geographic features such as canyons, mountains, and plains. The ocean floor has the same features as land. We can't see them because they're hidden beneath the water. Around the edges of the continents, the ocean gets deeper very slowly. This area, though underwater, is actually a part of the continent. It is called the continental shelf. The continental shelf ends suddenly and makes a downward slope. This area is the continental slope. At its edge, the continental slope deepens quickly. Beyond the continental shelf lies the deep ocean floor, or the abyssal plain. Flat land covers most of the abyssal plain, but mountain ranges and valleys also exist in this deep water world. The abyssal plain covers almost 1/2 of the earth. Okay? So down here I have a picture of what it's talking about. So here, this is the continental shelf right here. So this is kind of the land right underneath the water. Okay, so like this area right here. Then you have this, which is the continental slope. So that's where it slopes downward really, really quickly, really fast. Okay? And then you have the abyssal plain, which is really deep underground. And they said most of the time the abyssal plain is pretty flat, but sometimes it can have little peaks in it like here. Now the way I like to think of this is kind of like a pool. So if you've ever been in a pool before and you start in the shallow water and you can walk, and then it kind of gets deeper and deeper, and then there might be a big slope that goes into the deep end. Maybe you've experienced that before where you've been in a pool. So you go down the big slope and then you're in the deep end of the pool and it's flat in the deep end. So that's kind of how I like to think of the ocean floor. So you have the shallow water here, and then you have the slope that goes down to the deep end, and then you have the big deep ocean floor. Okay? So our job is to figure out, well, what is the main idea and what are the 3 details that support that? Now remember, I told you that the main idea isn't stated in the paragraph, in the article. We have to figure it out on our own. We have to make an inference. So first, I'm going to find details from the passage that might support my main idea. So if I go and I look in paragraph 2, I'm probably going to be talking about these 3 parts for my 3 details because it talked about 3 things. So the first part is the continental shelf. So I want to know where it's talking about the continental shelf. So it says at the edges of the continents, the ocean gets deeper very slowly. So that's where it just kind of slowly goes down. So that's called the continental shelf. So for my detail 1, I'm going to write that in for my detail 1. The continental shelf and then I'm going to do right here, gets deeper very slowly. Then the next part I talked about in this article is the continental slope. Now, does that get deep really slowly or does it go really fast? Yeah, you're right. It slopes down really fast. So here it says the continental shelf ends suddenly and makes a downward slope. This area is called the continental slope. So for my detail 2, I'm going to say the continental slope makes a big downward slope. So that's where it goes down really fast, kind of like if you're in a pool and all of a sudden you hit that angle where it goes right down to the deep end. And then the last thing I talked about was the abyssal plain, which is the deepest part of the ocean floor, the very bottom. So if I look here, it says beyond the continental shelf lies the deep ocean floor, or the abyssal plain. So the deep ocean floor is called the abyssal plain. So that's what I'm going to write for my detail 3. The abyssal plain is known as the deep ocean floor. So based on these 3 things that the article talked about, I need to figure out, well, what is my main idea now? What is the main idea of this article? Well, it talked about the continental shelf, the continental slope, and the abyssal plain. So my main idea is saying that the ocean contains 3 different parts. The ocean floor has 3 different parts to it. It has the continental shelf, the continental slope, and the abyssal plain. So my main idea is that the ocean floor has 3 different parts. So that is my main idea of this passage. So now I'm going to show you what you're going to do for your activity on Seesaw. So in your activity on Seesaw, you can either read this story or you can hit the play button and have it read to you. You're going to be learning about soil and the different things that live in soil. Okay? So what I would like you to do is find those 3 things that the story talked about. And then based on those 3 things, what is your main idea going to be? Okay? So if the title is soil, your main idea is going to have something to do with soil. But remember, when you write main idea, it needs to be in a complete sentence, not just 1 or 2 words. A whole complete sentence. And your 3 details, you're going to find right out of your story. Okay? So I cannot wait to see what you come up with for your main idea and your details. And I look forward to seeing it on Seesaw.